and welcome to another interview under the banner of Africa Leads the Way. My name is Aletta Rochar, the International President of Toastmasters International, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Emmanuel Katongole, who is on the board of Rotary International. I believe it's Zone 21 and 22, and he looks after Rotary districts in Africa, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Emmanuel, welcome to Africa Leads the Way. It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, President Aletta, and warm congratulations. Is it the first time that we have an African leading Toastmasters?
It's the first time we have anyone from Africa as International President of Toastmasters International. And that is what inspired my passion to, as part of a project I was doing, to start the Africa Leads the Way. Because I believe often we are underestimated and overlooked, and you and I both know how much talent and commitment and potential there is in Africa. So, yeah, that's how it all came together.
Indeed, and congratulations. Yes, indeed, Africa leads the way.
Exactly. Emmanuel, your story, your personal story, is one of the most inspiring examples of how one person's kindness can change the trajectory of someone else's life. Could you tell us a bit about your journey from where you started in Uganda right up until you're now on the board of Rotary International?
Well, mine is a story of moving from grass to grace, a story of many challenges, a story of the possibilities of life. I was born in 1962 as Uganda was preparing to receive its independence from Great Britain. To be precise, I was born on the 27th of April 1962, and Uganda got independence in 9th October 1962. I was born in a very remote part of Uganda, a remote part of central Uganda, and in a very rural family. Our parents, my mother and my father, were illiterate peasants. Were a family of four, three girls, and I was the last born, the only boy in the family. Well, generally a happy family. We lived in a small hut, grass-thatched hut, and we lived like any typical poor African family lives. And we were mainly dependent on subsistence farming, growing from the garden to mouth, and it was okay. And it was okay. But life became extremely difficult. My mother had to give up the job of being a house helper to come and concentrate at home and concentrate on us, the children. And she decided to do business. She started a business of boiling cassava and roasting corn, and would sell it on the street. And for me, that was my first job, selling corn and cassava on the street, and life was fine. Then 1969, and that was when I was about 7 years of age, my mother, 7 going to 8 years of age, my mother took a decision which in her own reasoning thought was good for the family. Because then in the 60s and 70s in Uganda, girls would be married off. There wasn't not much need to take them to schools. So we thought that the girls could leave school and concentrate on me, and she just betted on the boy. It was a terrible decision for the family, because eventually my sisters all died because of lack of education, because of poverty. That was a decision she took. Today, I'm a firm believer that the next wave of global development is going to be powered up by women. I see this every day, that my sisters missed that opportunity. my sisters died, and that was it. I remained alone with my poor mother, and but she didn't give up on me. She on the village, probably I was, I think, the first person in my whole village to have passed the primary living examinations and admitted into a major college in Uganda.
Wow, what an
That
achievement.
was it was great, and it was great celebration. We could not afford it, and it was such a very sad situation. And my mother tried, and as I was actually on the street, a person who was on a motorbike stopped by me to buy some corn. And then when he greeted me and realized that I was a smart young man, he asked me why I was not going to school. It was time for school. I told him that I had been admitted to Namiriango College. Namiriango College was the first secondary school in Uganda, very revered up to today, But I didn't have place to go. And he said, "What? You got the grades to go to this college and you could not?" Said, can I reach out to your parents? I said, okay, I lost my father, but my mother is at home. Put me on the bike. Going to our home was a small footpath. That was, I think, the first time a motorized system ever reached our home, a motorcycle. And the feeling was great. The feeling was great. He tried to ask my mother on the possibility of him adopting me. And he said he was a Rotarian, and he could really get Rotary to pay my school fees. My mother at first thought that was self-trade, and at first feared. So he left and he said he will come back. He came back with proof that he was genuine, and he had been to college where I was admitted, and then took me. And going to college was my first time. I was 14 years of age. Was my first time to board a vehicle. I entered a bus to go to Kampala. It was such a very good experience. I could see trees running with me, and the feeling was great. I went to Namilyango College. Namilyango College was a great experience. It was my first time to see electricity. It was my first time to sleep in a house with flowing water. It was my first time. Over the weekend, we went to see television. It was my first time to see television. Generally, life changed. I got my first pair of shoes when I went to college. The rest later is history. I did study, worked hard, passed my exams, did my O-levels, then did my advanced levels. I did physics, chemistry, and mathematics for my advanced level. I was admitted into Makerere University, and I did study. I was admitted to study engineering, but I opted to do a bachelor's of statistics and applied economics, which was a course then sponsored by the United Nations Development Program, and it was for the entire African continent. Yeah,
wow.
life was
So,
great.
Emmanuel, was
Yeah.
that where your kind of connection with Rotary started, with that man coming and changing your life?
Yes, that is where I started, but really, the probably to tell you a little further, because I got a job. I passed very well. My degree was a very good degree, and I got a job the day I finished my exams, and I started working. But then 4 years on the road, I decided to get out of employment and start our own business. And when we started the business Quality Chemicals Limited, that is when I came to terms with Rotary, because then I was seeing many Rotarians and I was invited to join Rotary. I had that mind recalling how Rotary had really pulled me up. And that's when the Rotary experience came in.
I just find it such a a powerful story because not only did it change the trajectory of your life, but now, as you've been involved with Rotary, you have done that for countless communities and individuals through the work that Rotary does. That must be a profound sense of purpose.
It is. And when I went into private business, I teamed up with uh, friends, and we started business. First started as a trading house into pharmaceuticals, and I was very much driven by the death of my sisters.
Mm,
And at the time that we started business was the time uh, HIV treatment using antiretroviral therapy was great. And I took a very deliberate decision that that was the business I was going to do, and
mm,
started importing and distributing antiretroviral medicines in the country, and later set up a manufacturing facility that manufactures medicines for neglected diseases.
mm,
Uh, that is HIV/AIDS, malaria, hepatitis B, and sickle cell disease.
mm,
Now that gave me a platform, and my mind was do a business that gives a relatively decent return on investment, but at
mm.
the same time solving key societal problems,
Yes,
that killed my sisters.
yes.
And that moved me up and up. And our business was the first in sub-Saharan Africa to be
Mm.
pre-qualified by the World Health Organization.
Wow.
So, and it's given me an opportunity to participate in Rotary, to give, to charitable causes. We've got the Rotary Foundation. I've given personal giving about $500,000. That's personal giving. But we have
Mm,
done projects that really change people's lives, because every time I think about the way I was lifted
mm.
from nobody to somebody,
Yeah.
from grass to grace, I say, it is my time. It is my
Yes.
time to give that opportunity to another person. For example, as I told you, my sister died of blood hemorrhage because of bleeding. And,
Mm,
and I, as a Rotarian and as a governor, I saw many Ugandans and Tanzanians dying because of this. I decided to build a Rotary blood bank, and that is closing a 27% blood transfusion gap
mm,
within Uganda, and that gives me the satisfaction. So
yeah.
Rotary is a means of paying back for what I was given.
Mm, mm. And Emmanuel, if you link this to the concept of Africa leads the way, you obviously one of the senior leaders in Africa. You've got an international president who's from Africa this year. It's really good to see African people rising to the top of international organizations. What was that journey like for you?
Yeah, it has been a great journey of service. Like you've risen as the first African to be president of Toastmasters. Africa has also risen on the radar of Rotary International. We had only one Rotarian to become president of Rotary International. But this year is much special for Africa because we've risen to the board of Rotary International. We've got a president who is from Nigeria, and we've got a director. Uh, I am the director from Uganda. I look after Africa, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Then the board of trustees of the Rotary Foundation has also got two Africans, a lady from Nigeria and a gentleman again from Uganda. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented for us. It really defines Africa leads the way. But
Yeah.
for me, it's been a progressive journey of service. I've been
Yes.
in Rotary for 13 years. I have had various leadership roles, moving from being a club president to being carrying out various roles at country level, then at Africa level, particularly within the Rotary Foundation, until 2 years ago when I was nominated to join the board. It's quite a journey. It's quite a journey. But Africa, if I could use these words, and the viewers and listeners will forgive me if I say this, Africa is no longer on the menu. Africa is on the table. Africa is on the table. And for good reasons. Look at this. If you look at the population of Africa, about 1.5 billion people, moving to 1.5 billion people, equivalent to probably the size of China, the size of Japan. That is Africa. Look at natural resources. Africa has got the highest reservoir of unexploited natural resources. Look at food basket. About 60% of the global arable land is in Africa. And look at the population. You know, Africa is proud to say, yes, about 60% of our population are people who are 35 years and below. They are young people. Some people would see that as a problem, but I see it as a big advantage. All we have to do is to harness and really get these young people together, give them an education, give them the ability to work, the ability to transform the economies of African countries. That is a huge demographic dividend. That is not anywhere. That is not anywhere in the world. Look at literacy rates. Literacy rates are growing in Africa, over 80%, and I have no doubt in my mind that not many years from now we should reach over 95% of people in Africa being able to read and write. So Africa is up. We've had challenges of leadership, with challenges of peace. But we're getting many countries in Africa saying, well, today, modern life must be governed in a way that is above reproach.
Yes.
Leadership questions and peace is being addressed. If you look at the map of Africa, yes, we still have pockets of insecurity, but by far and large, a bigger part of Africa is becoming stable with stable economies. I can say that, and growing economies. I can say that Africa is the lion on the move. If you cross its way, it will finish you. All you can do is just come to Africa, join Africa, and exploit this virgin continent, and the world will be a better place for all.
I like that. I love that.
So
Emmanuel, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say yes. And that basically, it gives me to believe that Africa leads the way.
Yes. Rotary creates opportunities to serve our communities, and it's done so in a most magnificent way. And Toastmasters works to give people the confidence to communicate and to lead within their communities, within their industries. So how do you see the two of us collaborating? What comes to mind for you as how we can help one another show that Africa leads the way?
First of all, three things that come to my mind. One is innovation. We've got to be innovative in whatever we do. Two is continuity. We should see that the good things that we do continue and elevate to the next level. The third and probably very, very important is partnerships.
Yes.
No single organization can do what we want to do by ourselves. We need to partner. And for me, I see the partnership between Toastmasters and Rotary International as a very strategic partnership. You know, Rotarians across the world do a lot in advancing public good, in serving communities above so. But this is not very well known by a majority of the population. But here's a partner, Toastmasters, whose role is communication, and you've mastered the art of communication. We need to communicate whatever is good in Rotary to the populations of the world so that they know that today the public image of Rotary and the public image of Toastmasters is something that I feel should be taken as a top priority. And there is no way you can have a good public image of organizations unless the issue of communication is addressed. And communication, it could be through speaking, which Toastmasters is very good at it. It could be radio or television interviews like the ones we are doing. Toastmasters is a master at it. It could be, delivery of words and delivery of the ability to describe what humanity should be is well articulated by Toastmasters. And so that's a very good partnership. And I see this partnership as good. And for you as president of Toastmasters, and for Yinka Babarola as president of Rotary International, and both of you are from Africa. This is Africa's time. This is your time. This is our time. Go out, reach out to each other. Strengthen this partnership. It is the best time for us.
Yeah, there's no time like the present. You remind me of one of my fellow club members a few years ago was somebody who was a Rotarian, and he was stepping into the role of president of his club. And he came to Toastmasters because he felt he had to get better at addressing his club, and that was part of his preparation for his presidency. So there are lots of overlaps. And of course, we have Rotary clubs everywhere in the world. There's hardly anywhere that doesn't have a Rotary club. So for us also to be able to support what Rotary does, I think is very important. Emmanuel, if you had to speak to someone who lives in Africa, who's aspiring to become a better business person, a better man or woman, what would you say to them based on the experience you've had, in your own life with Rotary? What would your advice be to them?
I'll tell them the exact thing we are talking about, that Africa leads the way. That whatever you do it with the drive. Do it with the desire to produce the best results. Whatever you do it with the determination. Whatever you do it with the dedication. But above all, whatever you do it with the discipline. With those 5 Ds, as I call them, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Africa is a place where everything that is planted gives fruits. Where an investment of $1 can easily give you $10. Where an investment in communication like Toastmasters can give so much results. Where joining a Rotary Club and you serve above self can elevate society. Whatever we do it to in such a way that we aim high. Africa is flying. Africa is leading the way. And the time has never been better than it is today. And for our children and the children of our children, if we do what we're supposed to do and we do it correctly, let me tell every African watching me and listening to me that our children and the children of our children will say that that was our finest hour.
You've put it beautifully, Emmanuel. You've certainly left me inspired, and I think our two organizations are going to build momentum not only in Africa but beyond. So thank you so much for being part of Africa Leads the Way. Thank you for everything that you do and everything that Rotary does. And let's find ways to work together so we can multiply our impact across Africa and across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aretha. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Our theme this year is create lasting impact. And yes, together we shall create lasting impact.